How's it going on, everybody, and welcome to my Jayden Daniels Prospect Breakdown. Jayden Daniels, 6'4", 210-pound quarterback from LSU, was the 2023 Heisman winner. But before I get to the rest of the video, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, follow my Twitter and my TikTok, and support my Patreon if you want access to my 2024 NFL draft board. But Daniels was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school, committed to Arizona State, and played there for 3 years before transferring to LSU in 2022. And in 2022, Daniels had 28 total touchdowns and threw for almost 3,000 yards to only 3 interceptions. But in 2023, Daniels had his absolute monster Heisman season. Daniels was the highest graded quarterback, led the FBS in EPA, QBR, and passer rating. He had 40 passing touchdowns, 3,800 yards, a 72% completion percentage, over 1,000 rushing yards, 10 rushing touchdowns. He was first in yards per pass attempt, and had 50 total touchdowns to 4 interceptions. Daniels was the winner of the Heisman, the Walter Camp, the AP College Football Player of the Year, the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award. He was a consensus All-American, SEC Offensive Player of the Year, and first team All-ACC. The thing that stands out most about Daniels is his lightning fast speed for the quarterback position. This is also supported by his 1,134 rushing yards. He can easily outrun secondary players, and it looked like he was the fastest player on that LSU offense, including Malik Neighbors and Bryce Thomas Jr. But even though he's the best as a runner, he's also a great passer. He's got a good arm, can throw with anticipation, he's got great accuracy, 72% completion percentage, and he doesn't put the ball in harm's way too often. He had a 1.6 turnover-worthy play percentage, which was 4th in the FBS, and as a deep passer, he was the best in all of college football. He had 22 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and a 146.8 passer rating, all first on passes with 20+ air yards, and he had 29 big-time throws, which was 5th in the FBS. He wasn't a checkdown artist either. He led the FBS in yards per pass attempt and had an average depth of target of 10.5 yards. Daniels is also a very smart football player. He knows what's going on in the field and how to take advantage of weaker defenses. He can throw on platform and off platform throws, but thrives while throwing in the pocket. He also improved his footwork massively at LSU over his last 2 years, and Daniels can read the field effectively due to his tall frame, which helps him see the whole field. His game doesn't fall off too heavily when pressured either, because he moves around so effectively in the pocket, and while in the pocket, he has so many options because he can escape, get the ball out quickly, or just make something absolutely crazy happen on a game-to-game basis. However, Daniels does have defined weaknesses. My first weakness is that sometimes instead of going to his second or third read and continuing his progression, he'll just tuck the ball and look to run, even if there's a slightly open receiver. At the FBS level, this really didn't matter because Daniels was just so effective as a runner. But at the NFL level, this is one of the biggest gripes that quarterback coaches and scouts have at evaluating quarterbacks. Having the ability to go from read 1 to 2 to 3 and keep on processing through the play in the pocket is a trait that I think Jayden Daniels does have, but the times that he elected to run instead of going to that second or third read was surmountable. And as the season progressed, it looked like he did get better at going from read 1 to 2, but again, there are so many times where he just runs the ball instead. My biggest concern for Daniels when running the ball is that he elects not to slide and will take big hits sometimes. Now, yes, not sliding will help him gain a lot more yards than if he did slide, but on instances, he gets clobbered. But the league is really moving towards penalizing any hits on the quarterback, especially any big hit, so he does benefit from that a lot. But again, if I'm a coach, I don't want my quarterback to get hit big all the time. He's a tall but skinny quarterback. I don't even think he'll be 210 by the combine. His downfield accuracy was elite. However, he was a bit inconsistent with short and intermediate throws. Sometimes those layups weren't being made. And lastly, I do not think Daniels possesses elite velocity on his throws. He can throw the ball hard, but a lot of his throws were a little short or in front of receivers, but he can still throw deep very effectively. And with that all being said, let's get into the film breakdown. One of the biggest things that Daniels improved on a lot over the 2023 offseason was his footwork. In 2022, his first season at LSU, it was all right. His footwork was a little bit disconnected from his upper body, but from this FSU game on, his footwork was just continually getting better. This drop is perfect. Throws in motion, hits the receiver in stride, and then Lacey is just able to run after the catch and able to get a touchdown here. Like, here's another good example of Daniels with some good footwork here. So first, play action. He's going to feel interior pressure here. So what he's going to do, take 2-3 steps to back up, good pocket mobility, hits the receiver in stride, and Brian Thomas Jr. is able to get a first down. All right, just as I showed that play, here's an absolute nightmare scenario for a quarterback to have. All right, so first, Daniels is going to hit the snap, play action, look towards his first read. Brian Thomas Jr. is basically over here. He doesn't see anything else, and he's just like, I'm going to run it. Look, all right, let me just look at, I don't even want to explain. Look at what he does here. Whoa, oh my God. I mean, is that not a nightmare for your quarterback to just go ahead and do that. Please don't take any more of those hits. Jesus, that's if I was an offensive coordinator, that scares the absolute hell out of me. Whenever the LSU offense was in shotgun, it was pretty much a recipe for Daniels to run, especially when you have, this is a 4-6 defense where in the 4-6, there are just 3 or 4 defensive linemen or linebackers lined up on one side of the field, and then one, especially verse here over on the left side of the line of scrimmage. But like, this is a recipe for the lead blocker here to just get a free hole for Daniels to run in. And I mean, look at this, like, one juke, and then he's running away from these defenders. This defender verse jumps, jukes out this guy, and he will get tackled here, but he is absolutely running away from these guys. It wouldn't surprise me if Daniels was like a 4-4 runner at the combine, something similar to what Anthony Richardson does. But anytime that Daniels is pretty much free in shotgun in the pocket, like, he's gonna run, and especially if the middle of the field is wide open, he can just create so much after the play. The only real complaint that I would have for Jayden Daniels' arm talent or ability is that sometimes I don't think he has maybe the greatest velocity in the world. Maybe this is a bit of an egregious example, but Daniels is at the top of his drop. His hips are, he's not out of place anywhere, and he isn't necessarily lobbing it. He does torque his body. Ooh, I skipped a little too far, but he torques his body well enough to where this is only a 20 max yard throw, and this ball really lags there. But a lot of his throws are pretty good, like online level throws, but sometimes he can just kind of, you know, the velocity will decline and the ball will drop a bit. All right, and then for the last play of the FSU game, this is going to be the Brian Thomas Jr. 75-yard touchdown late in the game. Daniels hits the top of his drop, torques throws, good throw, Brian Thomas Jr. I think this was the correct placement of the ball. Would love to lead Thomas up the field, but it kind of doesn't matter because Brian Thomas Jr. is just going to get out of it, showcase that big time speed. Do like Brian Thomas Jr. a lot, and then LSU is going to score a touchdown here. All right, so now we're moving on to the Alabama game, and then this is the first play or second play of the game where Daniels is going to look off of his first read, and then, all right, I'm going to run. So run right here is where he should undeniably slide. I don't know why. Again, he's not really sliding, instead takes a head dive and gets hit in the back. Again, gotta slide there. All right, so in this play, Malik Neighbors is going to be running a skinny post here. And so Jayden Daniels loads up, hits the top of his drop, gets ready to go. Malik Neighbors already created a ton of separation from Malachi Moore. Caleb Downs is finally now rotating to go help, but down. All right, so I wanted to show the broadcast angle for this play because, again, I want to show you guys how fast Jayden Daniels can accelerate and how fast he is relative to players that play in the box. Quarterback power, hits the hole right here, and I'll replay it. But then after they say that, here is an example of a really risky play. This could have ended up in an interception. The pole is in the way here, but Jayden Daniels' footwork is in the process of escaping to the right, but then he finds this receiver, or Brian Thomas, coming across the middle. So his footwork is kind of out of place here. He opens up in a weird way. The ball gets batted down, and lucky that Thomas tipped it because this was a free interception. And then one thing that I'm super scared about at the NFL level for Daniels is the hits that he can take, because Daniels isn't a super bulky quarterback. He's like 210, and he'll probably be a little lighter than that, but he takes a vast amount of hits for his size. Gets out of the pocket and then just gets clobbered by these two defensive linemen. Well, this guy's a linebacker, but those are not the type of hits that you really want to be taking on a game-to-game basis. Like, that's at worst cracked ribs. All right, and now here's Jayden Daniels' just quarterback draw, scores a touchdown on this play, jukes out number 17 here, and just runs right in to the end zone to score a rushing touchdown. And then this is the second passing touchdown of the game for Daniels. I really think that this is a phenomenal throw. So Daniels is going to be reading the field, looks right, then comes back to the middle, gears up to throw, and then let me pause it right here. Or I skipped a little too ahead. Hits the drop, and then right here. Ball is, there's a defender right here, number 4. I get, if you guys can even see this. Defender's right here, and Daniels is going to put the ball behind Lacey. And Lacey's going to catch it, which is, and that's really great placement because it doesn't put the ball into harm's way. And Lacey's going to be able to run after the catch and score a touchdown here. The great placement by Daniels on that throw. If you guys watched my Malik Neighbors film breakdown, you would have already seen this play. But Malik Neighbors is going to be running a slot fade here against, I would presume this is Malachi Moore. And then the placement on this ball is, again, phenomenal. Daniels throws it. You can really barely see it, but this ball is going to be just fit in between the sidelines. I'll go to the other angle because it does give a little bit of a better visual aspect of just, that's a dime, drop it in the bucket type of throw. All right, and then for the last play for the Alabama breakdown, I'm just going to do a little fun one here. Game's pretty much over at this point. This is later in the game. Jayden Daniels looks off of his first read, and then just watch this. Oh gosh, I think he broke his ankle on this play. I'm pretty sure he got hurt on this play. Daniels is out here creating injuries. I mean, let's look at it again. That's pretty tough. All right, and now with the Florida game, this probably is Daniels' best rushing performance. Maybe this is one of the greatest rushing performances for a quarterback of all time. 234 yards, 2 touchdowns in this game. But we're going to start off with a little pass here. Daniels, blitz. The stunt over here is coming, but it doesn't matter. Daniels, top of his drop, layers that in there for Brian Thomas Jr., who's going to do a great ability tracking over the shoulder, and that's a huge gain. I don't know how much, like, I genuinely need to just talk and explain and go over Daniels' scrambling ability and how many times he's just running away from the, look at how this hole, look at this. You would expect, you know, him to slide, maybe do something else. Maybe he won't escape this hole. This defender is coming. But no, he's going to just jet past them and gain around, I don't know, 45 yards or something like that. But again, there is absolutely nothing that I need to explain. I'm just going to let the play speak for itself. Daniels on the rollout here. Nice pin block, or a nice block here on the outside for the receiver. I don't see who it is, but just look at Daniels. I'm just going to let the play run. Like, this is track speed. He's outrunning safeties. And I mean, 80 flat yard touchdown, maybe 79 yard touchdown. And dude, like, here is another absolutely crazy play. So got a whole bunch of 2 in-breaking routes over here, skinny post for Neighbors, just a complete, just straight out go route for Brian Thomas Jr. Jayden Daniels work in the pocket, nothing's there. All right, let me run. 1 juke, wait for it, 2nd, and I mean, he's the Florida, it was just in an absolute nightmare mode. Nobody could stop Daniels this entire game. Look at the 1 juke, and then takes the correct angle. Daniels has got some blazing speed. And then on quite literally the very next play in the game, Daniels is going to combine with Brian Thomas Jr. again. Straight go route. Bro ran so many go routes this year. And then Daniels drop it in the bucket, throws it over 2 defenders, and it's a huge gain. And then here's the touchdown on this play. The running back is just on a Texas route, or Texas-esque route, and then just scores a touchdown. And then for the next 2 plays, these are going to be the last 2 touchdowns of the game. Both of them are going to be to Brian Thomas Jr. Again, what does Brian Thomas Jr. love to run? Loves to run fades. Here, gets wide open, runs past the defender. Daniels does put the ball out way too far over here, but it kind of doesn't matter because he still throws it past 2 defenders. Brian Thomas Jr. comes down with the touchdown. And then the last play, the film breakdown, let's just do a little jet sweep, little shovel pass to Brian Thomas Jr. This ain't even Jayden Daniels in this play. This is just Brian Thomas Jr. being a monster. Jayden Daniels, phenomenal game against Florida. My interesting player comps for Jayden Daniels are going to be Jalen Hurts and Robert Griffin III. Daniels reminds me a ton of Robert Griffin III. Both were Heisman winners, both were dangerous rushers. RG3 even ran a 4.41 40 time, which I think Daniels runs a similar time to. RG3 also had elite accuracy at the college level at 74.2 at Baylor. But Daniels is a taller version of Robert Griffin III, and their throwing motions and processing is a tad different. But Hurts and Daniels have a really similar processing and throwing motion, even have a similar slot to their arm, similar touch and velocity on the ball. But of course, Daniels has a lot less bulk than Jalen Hurts does. And Hurts is a very methodical player, meanwhile Jayden Daniels is a lot more of a quicker, twitchier player. Basically, Daniels is a tall Jalen Hurts with RG3 legs, which is pretty insane to think about. For my prospect grade, I'm giving Jayden Daniels a 6.7 prospect grade, or a mid-first round grade. He's currently 8th on my 2024 big board and my quarterback 3. Just because his class is so good, I have to put him 8th, but a 6.7 grade is very, very high, especially for the supposed third best quarterback in the draft. And I think Jayden Daniels has the potential to be a 1,000-yard rusher at the quarterback position. But if Jayden Daniels is able to hit his projection, I think he could be at minimum a mid-level to top 10 quarterback. And I think he goes within the top 2 to 10 picks. He can go as early as the Commanders or as late as the 10th overall pick. Few teams could always trade up for him. I loved watching Jayden Daniels' electric nature at the college level. Any LSU game I turned on, he was doing something crazy, almost on a down-to-down basis. I fear the conversation around Daniels will hinge on his passing ability at the next level, and he'll be placed in the same box that Justin Fields, Robert Griffin III, Jalen Hurts, and Lamar Jackson were placed in when they declared for the draft. For me, I believe Daniels can be a good passer at the next level and develop similarly to how Lamar Jackson has, but importantly, be an elite rushing threat. But quarterback is a situationally dependent position. In order for quarterbacks to develop, they need the right organization, they need the right weapons around them, they need the right coaches. And if Daniels is not developed in the proper way, he could end up as more of a boomer bust guy, similarly to how Justin Fields has performed in the last 3 years. But if he is given the right weapons, the right coaching, drafted to the right organization, I think he can become a very good quarterback. He's also being compared to guys like Caleb Williams and Drake May, and Caleb is the best quarterback prospect I've seen outside of Trevor Lawrence, and Drake May is up there as well, which pushes Jayden Daniels a bit down in the rankings, but that doesn't mean that Jayden Daniels is bad or even slightly worse than those guys. Jayden Daniels is probably just as skilled as all 3 of them. I think that Jayden Daniels should at minimum be a top 5 pick in the draft. He can go as early as 2 or as late as 10. If Caleb and Drake May both go 1 and 2, I think there's plenty of opportunity for teams to potentially trade up for him, or for the Patriots to get him, which is my most likely landing spot. If Daniel works out and is given the right situation, he definitely has the potential in my eyes to develop into a top 10 quarterback. But that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, follow my Twitter and my TikTok, and support my Patreon if you want access to my 2024 NFL draft board. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next video.